This is a 2021 Jaguar XF R-Dynamic. So we're going to start off with our first Jaguar ever at Accelerate headquarters. And we're going to start off really unorthodox, and we're going to talk about the word value, because value and Jaguar don't exactly go hand in hand. You see, this is an XF, and the model smaller than this is an XE, and they discontinued that. And with this XF, they made it really, really simple because they only offer two versions, the regular XF and then the XF R-Dynamic, which is what this one is. So let's get into it and talk about the front. So if you talk about the front here, you can see that it has a sharp nose, but also has sort of two layers when it comes to the hood. It's got a side and then a middle piece. Now it has these kind of unique DRLs. The shape is not unique because I see these sort of on a Golf, the new generation Golf has these sort of light design, but if you look deeper, it's got this little sort of effect in the LEDs, which is kind of nice, and you can actually count how many LEDs are in the actual projector, which are adaptive, I might add, and there's 6 of them. But look at this little fin. I like how they've put it in there, and they've kind of made this big snout. And this thing has all black because it has the black package, so you can see there's no chrome on the front of this thing. It's all black. And yes, this is functional completely. And no, this is not functional, so match it up. Give me function there and function here. I know this is not a 6-cylinder, which we'll get into in a minute, but yes, function me up on both sides, Jaguar. But I do like this front end. I like the way this is all designed. I like the piece all black, nice, and this R-Dynamic badge here. And if you look underneath here, same sort of deal, just slightly different, same design, but this has a different feel. It's like reversed, actually. This has the exact same design on the whole, and this has the exact same design in plastic. These headlights also have auto high beam, and yes, they have no wipers. They have headlight washers that pop up here and shoot water here. And if you take your eyes down right here, you will see it does have a block heater input right there. You can plug in, haven't seen that in cars in a while. They're sort of a bit more hiding, but let's check under the hood. So born and raised in 2009, the Jaguar XF came to the scene about aluminum. Aluminum was a thing at the Jaguar XF, and this hood is no different. But under the hood is totally different because you will not find a supercharged V8. You will not even find a V6 that makes 380 horsepower. You will find 2 versions of a 4-banger. The first one is not available in Canada, but it does exist, and it makes 250 horsepower and 269 pound-feet of torque. The second one, which is what we have here, makes 296 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Yes, they're both mated to an 8-speed ZF transmission. Now the question I asked myself, besides the fact that this is all-wheel drive, is, Jaguar, you have a 6 that you have that is awesome. Why don't you put that 6 in here? But Jag claims to be all electric by 2025, and maybe that's the reason why it's not underneath this car. So as we move along the back here, you will see how this headlight wraps around like most cars. Yes, you feel the aluminum vibe there. Now wheels, let's talk about wheels. You can get 6 different wheel choices, and actually they're pretty cool. These ones are black because it does have the black package, as you can see throughout the car here. But these specific ones are 20-inch wheels. They are also available as 19s, and you can get red brake calipers as an option. So pretty cool they offer that stuff. So I want to talk about size, and in comparison, this compares to a Genesis G80 as well as a Mercedes-Benz E-Class, which we just reviewed. So that's pretty cool that we've had cars that are very similar in class size to this. It also does have proximity sensor, so your keys are in your pocket. You walk up to the front or the back, put your hand in, pull it, it automatically unlocks. It also has something called toughened glass in the front and the rear, so much so that they even put it on this window. It says right here, toughened. So moving along the back here, you will see, let's hear the door. Decent, feels very heavy. I found that with also the Range Rover, which is similar. I found that it felt pretty solid, and I would say the same with that. I wouldn't say it's ultra solid, I would say it's sort of like at the 70% solid rate. Now this one does have sport suspension, sits a little bit lower. You can get dampening suspension as an option, but let's talk about inner fender liners like we normally talk about on this channel, and they are carpet on the back, but in the front they are Oh, they're carpet as well. I lied. So carpet in the back. Let's check the front. Yes, they are carpeted all the way around. So yes, this is insulated. This will be quiet. This is no plastic, so that's nice to see. As far as design, what do you guys think about the side design of this car? I find it to be very plain and just there. I wouldn't say it's off the charts. I wouldn't say there's crazy lines. I would say it's just there. It doesn't really stand out. It's just clean, but it is fairly long. Yeah, and this also gives me some sort of Acura TL vibes over here. But anyways, let's move to the back. All right, so where does the XF stand? And why is it value? Well, listen, this is the deal. Jaguar wants to get a ton of these things out because they are almost $10,000 cheaper than any of its German competitors for the exact same car. That is pretty crazy to think that Jaguar is cheaper than the Germans. That never happens. So anyways, let's move to the back here. You'll see this high light design. It's very high off the ground. Normally they're lower, but this has got a high spike on the bottom. And here we go, all black. So you see all black Jaguar logo, obviously the wording Jaguar, and then this line that goes across in high gloss black. Underneath here you will find the camera and pretty much everything else that's standard, except for this huge valance on the back here that makes it look sporty. But what is sort of out there are these exhausts. They're dual exhaust, but they are facing downward. What's up with that? No clue. Anyways, let's go inside. This is powered trunk, so let's open up power trunk. She opens up. And let's talk about space. So let's talk about length here. In terms of length, we have, this is a very long trunk. It's got 4 feet. This is probably the longest trunk. This is bigger than the Benz, that is for sure. 4 feet in length, but as far as width goes and height, it sort of lacks here. So width is 37, that's pretty good, but it's the entry point that kills it. So check this out. Entry point's about, I'd say about 19 to 20 inches. And one of the reasons is this, look at this cover. It's sort of shaped upwards to fit. I'm not sure exactly what. Yes, there's a tire underneath there, but they could probably put this in as a flat floor and not hiding upwards. So yes, you have a thing in there, not a lot of side space. There's no storage space on the side. There is these little clips that hold stuff in on both sides, and there is this handy dandy, pull it down, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it is a grocery bag holder. One on this side and one on that side. And these things, these little pull yellow things, are to drop the seats. The seats do fold 40, 20, and 40. So let's get in the back seats and take a look. So I'm in the back of the 2021 Jaguar XF, but let's close these doors and see how they sound in the back. Not too bad. Kind of feel sort of solid. They definitely feel more solid when I'm closing it inside than hearing it from the outside. I do like this contrast stitching, and yes, the 16 speaker Meridian sound system is nice to actually have some pieces on both sides, up and down, to look at. Feels pretty solid in here. There's not a ton of legroom, a good, decent amount of legroom, but I feel like they've put this length in the trunk. I think that's where they've sort of put some of the extra space. These seats do tilt upwards, they do slide you in, so they're like this. It's kind of nice, it holds you sort of tight in there. This armrest has 2 cup holders. Now these seats do fold down, but the only way to fold them is from the trunk. I wish there was something in here that I could pull to have these seats fold down. They just don't come down. There's no lever, there's nothing here for me to pull it down. Now, as far as connectivity in the back here, obviously you have your Bluetooth and all that fun stuff, but how do you plug stuff in? Well, there's no actual USB or USB-C plug in the back here. There is your typical voltage lighter adapter right here, and there is heated seats. Now, if you did want to have some sort of plug, you actually have to pull this armrest up, and underneath there's one USB, a USB-C, and then another voltage plug. So yeah, take that for what that is. If you have any kids and stuff like that, there are handles here. There are 2 map lights up there. And yeah, that's about it. Let's jump in the front. So I'm in the front seat of the Jaguar XF. Now let's hear these doors. Okay, a little bit better than the back seat. Feels solid in here though when I close it. So it's weird. Normally the fronts are really good and the backs suck, but this is decent front and back. Now this is where the Jaguar XF really shines. This position, it really shines. Very clean, nice piece. Some people maybe not like this curved screen on the dash, but I kind of do. It's nice and clean. I like the buttons. It's when this car's off, everything is black, pitch black, and you can't see anything. It's all unilluminated or not illuminated. But when I sit in here, I've got really good positions. This, finally, an armrest that goes back and forth. It's nice to have. Now when I get in, it says Jaguar right on the sill plate, letting me know that I've come into this Jaguar that smells magnificent. On the side of this dash, it says Coventry Jaguar. And on the inside here, it says established in 1935, Jaguar Coventry. So there's a lot of those pieces that kind of put together make you feel like special, right? So See, steering, 3-spoke steering wheel. Again, all the buttons you need to have is right in the steering wheel. This one's an R-Dynamic, so it does have, you know, the R thing right there. Everything else is pretty good. It's got the Meridian sound, as I mentioned before. All black headliner. Yeah, it feels pretty solid. Nice seats. I like these little perforations in the seats. They're kind of nice. Nice little touch there. As opposed to having just dots all the way through, they have a different design up here, and they do have the Jaguar up here. But let's see what else there is. This nice little small shifter. This has definitely been modernized right in here. And I really like the way that Land Rover Jaguar has their HVAC controls. They're nice and big, very clean. The same rotary knob that moves. It's just something to do with my hands instead of all touch. It's a nice big button. You can just slide and turn, very clean, very quick. But also just very easy to use. So everything's kind of easy in here. There's nothing really overly complicated, as I see. You can get an option of actually have a rear camera monitor on this rear mirror here, so you can actually see what's back there. You know, you can obviously see what's back there, but it has that camera in the back that shows you on this physical screen what it's behind there. So that's kind of nice to have. Armrest, as I mentioned, there's a USB and USB-C down there. Not the deepest space, it's kind of up there. And the other thing also to note is when I'm sitting in here, this sort of center sort of console here flares out. So when I look at my feet, they're kind of squished a little bit. So I wouldn't say they have a lot of space. It does feel a little bit claustrophobic on my feet. So this is the home screen. I really like the way the colors are laid out, and even the font is very clean and like classy. So this is your home screen. If I go into a menu, it'll give me this little home icon here. So let's say if I hit radio here and I want to get out of the radio, it gives me the home screen. So I hit the home screen and here we go, your home screen. You can slide over left and right. So if I start at the top, I've got phone, energy impact, media, driving style, and that's it on the main screen. Now, it shows you over here how much power the car is actually taking on your energy impact, and you can go deeper into each screen. So let me just show you a different version, which is right here. I hit that button, and there's sort of it laid out differently. So I have my accounts, my seats, my climate control cameras, which is awesome. So let's check this 360 camera out, and you will see, look how cool that looks. This is all movable by simply touching this button. You can kind of go around. They've done a great job with this. That looks awesome. The front of that thing looks awesome in here. And on the car it does, but I would say it looks more awesome here, and especially the back. The back looks pretty nice on this little screen. So let's move around this thing here and see how it's done, and it is in real time. So I'm going to open my driver door now, and you will see how it opens up. And if I close it, and if I turn my steering wheel a little bit here, you see that turn. That's pretty awesome. And then I have different versions on this left side of the screen here. I can move this around, go in the trunk. Sweet. So that's that. Let's get out of this thing here. Again, I hit the home button, takes me back to here, and then I can hit these 4 buttons above it. And then I have valet mode, eco data, and you can see again a lot of data. So driving style, energy impact, eco tips, and history, and you can see all this kind of stuff and how much power it takes, as I mentioned, eco tips, improve feedback, so on and so forth. So let's get back to there, and then next up is all surface information, which is nice to see. You can see how much power goes in the rear wheels and how much power goes in the front wheels, and how the diffs work, because this does have electronic rear slip diff in the back. And then JDC info, so you have your different driving modes. You have dynamic, comfort, eco, and then rain, ice, and snow. It's all controlled by the mode button down here. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy to see, as you can see on this screen. So with the 4 buttons here, and then next up is low traction launch. So when I hit low traction launch, obviously it is what it is, low traction launch. So I hit that guy, and I can start a low traction launch. So it gradually apply accelerated pedal until vehicle moves away from rest. This is not your typical launch that we normally see. This is low traction launch. So it gave you launch, but not launch control. It's the reverse. Next up is voice and then navigation. But I want to show you navigation only because of how nicely and clean this layout is. It's just very clean. I like the colors they've used, and pretty straightforward stuff. As far as how fast it is, well, there you see my finger go up and down, left and right. It's decently fast. If I pinch out, it is good. Let's get rid of that. Here, pinch out, and you can see it's got a good speed. Considering that we're indoors, it's doing a good job. So now for media. When I hit media, I can choose what I want to listen to. Whether I want to listen to added device, Sirius XM, FM, AM, and then obviously your added devices. So let's go to Sirius Radio here. If I want to skip to the other radio stations that are available, I simply press those buttons and I can slide over pretty fast, pretty easy. I really like the way this is laid out. So let's go to the all new Tock radio. Now underneath it, it says the artist and the song. Now if I hit that button there, this is cool. It actually says tap the song and artist. You want to get a notification every time the song or artist airs on Sirius XM. That's pretty cool. So I can, whether I want to listen to this person or the song that comes on again, it actually notifies me. That is a pretty cool feature in case there's an artist that you want to listen to that you don't remember who that artist was. And then again, on the bottom here, player, favorites, browse, search. So pretty easy, like straightforward, easy, sort of like you know, iPad for dummy sort of thing here. Very easy, very straightforward, nothing overly complicated. So that was a general overview of this 11.4-inch PV Pro is what Jaguar calls it. But let's talk about the center driver display. So it's all digital here, and on the left you've got your speedometer, as you can see. In the middle you've got a digital speedometer of the speedometer, and in the middle you've got obviously your trip summary, and there's a few menu items that you can kind of scroll through here. So you've got vehicle, and if I move to the right here, it's all done on the left-hand side of the steering wheel, and it's all like capacitive haptic touch buttons here. Display, panel, vehicle, show tire information, some more trip information. There's your display, more vehicle car stuff. So not a ton of stuff to talk about here. You do have your media you can talk about when the car is actually physically running. And then on the right side, you've got your tach and then your engine temperature. And then underneath that, you have obviously the temperature outside, how many kilometers it has, the odometer, and then the time. So pretty straightforward information. It's clean. It's a little bit small, a little bit squished together. This specific one doesn't have heads-up display, but you can get it as an option. Anyways, as far as that is the both infotainment information systems, and let's take this bad boy for a drive. All right, so I'm in the 2021 Jag XF, and first things first, I can tell it has a really high shoulder line. But if you look at my shoulder, it's pretty much the same level of the top of this door panel. And most cars that I'm actually sitting more like this. But this one, the seat sits low, the steering wheel goes down to a certain degree, but I'm in dynamic. Let's take this turn and see how she handles. Good steering. Oh, sport suspension. Better than I thought. Better than I thought. Now, obviously, it's not over-exhilarating. These kind of cars are sort of tough to review because they're just sort of good, you know? Like, we get some real crazy product that screams, and we get some stuff that's really slow, so we can dog both sides. This, I'd say, somewhere in the middle. It's got good steering. And so a bit of delay there, foot to the ground, bit of delay. So this is 297 horsepower, 296 horsepower. Can't really hear a whole lot, but let's watch my hand and watch the steering. So a bit of body roll there, but it's still very comfortable. Like, it's not stiff at all. There's no stiffness in this thing. So with all this R-Dynamic and all that stuff, that's just basically looks. And yes, it's all blacked out everywhere. You get a, you know, a different set of wheels, sport suspension, but I would still tell you that this is not sporty whatsoever. It's sort of comfortable, got decent feedback with the road. I wouldn't say the steering wheel goes back to center very easily, but I would say the steering is probably its best attribute, along with all the interior. I like the interior, nice, clean pieces. It sort of feels very, I think the best way to describe this, it feels very consistent. And consistent in the sense that there's no material in here that's like over the top amazing or something that pops in my eye. It's just very like consistent, traditional feeling interior, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like first class on a standard plane. Nothing like Emirates, which is crazy. Just like a standard airline that gets first class. This is what you get. This is the deal. Because we're talking about this because of value. Because price point, it's a one-shot deal. So we have the E53 to review next, and that car has a ton of options. So you can price it anywhere from like 70K all the way to like 120K. This thing, it's like a one-shot deal. You pay one number, you get one car. A few small tidbit options, but nothing really crazy about that. No heads-up display on this bad boy, but you can get it as an option. All right, foot to the ground. Yeah, I would say that it's good, decent. That's about it. I'd probably give acceleration, say a 6.5 out of 10. Maybe not a 7. 6.5 out of 10. I'd say that's fair to say. But I will say that these bumps, normally when I'm taking this road down next to the course here, it is bumpy and this camera's normally shaking, but this car takes it pretty well. As you can see, the camera's not shaking, and I can't really feel much. Even though I know there's bumps, I can't really feel it. So it does a good job absorbing all the bumps. And I do like the fact it does have a rear view camera mirror. So there you go, nice and wide, nice and clean. It's awesome to have one of those. I love when manufacturers put it in, so thank you, Jag, for putting this thing in your car. Also, the screen is obviously heated, so if you're not used to Jag or Land Rover product, you will see that there's tiny, fine lines in this glass. It's just something to know about, and yeah. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Braking, yeah, it's just nothing really totally bad to pick on. Styling is obviously subjective to what you like. So here's the deal. You know what I feel bad for? I feel bad for the Jag salespeople, because when they have new clients take one of these for a test drive and they come back, that salesperson is going to say, hey, how'd you like your drive? And they're going to say, it was good. It was good. Yeah, it was good. What do you think, honey? Yeah, it was good. And then the guy's going to say, well, let me talk about price. And then as a sales guy, you're thinking, yes, because you have one of the best value propositions right now, because this thing is sort of an all-encompassing number. So, that's probably the only way you can get somebody to buy this car. Or maybe you have a really good lease rate and that kind of stuff at this point in time. Now, this video is brought to you by a family friend of ours. His name is Stephen Abdullah. He passed away, and one of his favorite things was obviously cars. This is why I bring him up, and also sports teams. This is why I'm wearing a Clippers jersey. His favorite team was the Maple Leafs, but they'll never win a championship, and maybe the Clippers won't either because they spend too much money on their players, just like the Maple Leafs, and you never know, maybe one day they'll win a championship. But the one thing Stephen did do very well is basically tell people like it is. So hopefully you like this video, because that's exactly what this is, like it is. And that's what we try to do for you guys every week here at Accelerate. So if you do like the video, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and as always, thanks for watching.